Gaming Blue losing very quickly in a 3-0 fashion, so we'll have to see what answers they have now, because there's a lot of money. There's a huge money difference between that first and second and the third place, so they're certainly going to want to show their dominance in this third cup. This is the Yacht Boys who did take them out so convincingly for their regional spot. Vilay on the Shadow Priest, we didn't see him, but we may well do still in this series. We'll have to see what the Yacht Boys come up with. Thessia, Gelu Baba, and Miley is the big RMD we expect here. Miley, of course, the Resto Druid. Gelu Baba, or Gelu Bangers, I believe his mage is known as. He likes to bang people on that mage. And Thessia... Oh, Icelands, beautiful.
Okay.
That's his name.
Sure.
So Gelu Bangers on the mage, and Thessia, who has been so proficient on both the subtlety rogue and the combat rogue. That's one of the great things about him. Of course, Waz also showed that proficiency in the last series. I don't think he played badly on the subtlety rogue, but they did lose at 3-0. Mimpoike on the Resto Druid, Raikou on that Frost Mage, Waz, the Rogue, and Zunyaki, who I would love to see please come out in this series, but we'll have to see if they opt for that one, NG Blue.
Yeah, and it's interesting the last time that these teams met that they opted to both play subtlety specs on the rogues. So it's a much more burst-based spec. I would definitely think that Waz is slightly less familiar than Deja overall, but it's actually the Shatter Mirror instead. They don't even want to do the Rogue Mage Mirror, so they are going to opt to go for Shatter Play instead. Interesting. So both of the Paladins are going to be playing alt classes. Let's see how well they perform here. Both of the Mages just trading Frostbolts, building up Icicles, getting their burst ready. Gelu blinks in first, actually, to try and get that lockout on Mimpoike, and he actually did land it. So they were looking for an early kill with that counterspell, but they're not going to find it. Now Mimpoike should be able to easily spam out some heals. A silence over onto Miley. Maybe would have liked to see an Aura Mastery there. It looks like Gelu is able to get out of line of sight, and now both of the teams managed to escape without using too many cooldowns. Yeah, very greedy opener from both. Neither Pali's even using wings here. Mimpoike pre-sacrifices, so Miley actually going to be caught up. They purge the sacrifice, and that's going to force the block onto Gelu. Zunyaki casting the Master Spell, but that gets silenced by Vilay. Well played by him. Able to be dispelled by Mimpoike, though, so that's another CC ability that the Yacht Boys lack, and ultimately NG Blue are so far ahead. The Deep Freeze, the Horror, though, they are going to get the cross CC that they need. The Trinket from Zunyaki instantly locked on the Master Spell, so that's going to stick full onto Mimpoike, but no real damage coming out onto Raikou, and now the Yacht Boys need to be careful because NG Blue are going to be the offensive team. Yeah, Raikou going in for that Deep Freeze, but he gets Frost Jawed. Really nice Frost Jaw from Gelu, but Gelu just blows up. Literally just popped on the screen, just like his head exploded. Raikou just squeezed his body so tight, and then his head exploded. What just happened to Gelu? What a beautiful image. I mean, look at Gelu's damage, actually. He did nothing in this game, like damage-wise. No, that's pretty insane. So Zunyaki gets to make his showing again, and they're going to stomp out the Yacht Boys in that first game of the Shatter Mirror. So interesting, but definitely performing much better in terms of damage. Yeah, NG Blue definitely have their PhD in shadow play. I really like the fact that they bring out this composition. I mean, the reason I say PhD is because I'm a funny man, and that's the three abilities that Shadow, the signature Shadow setup is the Psychic Horror, the Hammer of Justice, and the Deep Freeze at the same time. They formed in that specific mirror, and they got ahead. And here we go, jumping into game number 2 right away. It looks like a Shatter Mirror again as Vilay joins the game. You can see the talents for Zunyaki. Nothing terribly out of the ordinary there. So Glyph of Fade will allow him some damage reduction every time he uses Fade. Cascade, pretty standard picks. Nothing too strange from Vilay either. They're basically just mirroring each other. There's not really any differences there. So the only major difference was damage. Gelu just did less than Raikou. Yep, and I don't think it necessarily means that they are going to, the same will happen this game. And we've seen that Raikou's playstyle is to do more damage generally, but it doesn't necessarily always translate into victories. We'll have to see what the Yacht Boys can do now. Yesterday, I think the Vilay they were both practicing Shadow Mirrors, and Vilay was actually taking a fair few of the games. So I would be surprised if they go ahead and get stomped 3-0 here. Zunyaki taking a lot of the damage in the open, and Mimpoike might have to use his wings. Actually has to use the wings immediately. So I'd like to see the Yacht Boys maybe pull back, but they're not going to do that. Gelu pushing in to get the CC, perhaps. Miley getting caught up in that Deep Freeze. He's followed up by the silence. That's going to be the Aura Mastery. Wings and Nest comes out from him as well. But the triple fear from Zunyaki. Can he empty the sheep? Looks like he's going to land that as well. So Zunyaki coming out huge for NG Blue in this game. They might be able to hold the block on Raikou because of that. The fear to follow up from Vilay, but he's getting sheeped up. Now the Frost Jar onto Zuni. Unfortunately, nothing really fast. And I think Zunyaki might be playing Shadow or Death Glyph, maybe? I'm not sure if he deathed that sheep or maybe it just broke, but unfortunately for NG Blue, I thought they were maybe going to have to use more there, but Zunyaki just played it so well. Yeah, Minpoke is only down a trinket. It looks like the Yacht Boys are launching another attack over onto Raikou, but not resulting in too much just yet as Raikou switches the CC around over onto Milo. But Valet mass dispelled it preemptively. Zuni does follow it up with a double fear. Now into the silence. Good CC chain from Zuni. Will force an ice block out from Gelu. Looks like Valet is launching a CC chain of his own, but Zuni just mass dispels it again. Zuni's been playing very well with these mass dispels to remove CC. Raikou, I would assume, blinking back to the box right now defensively to line of sight if he needs to do it. Minpoke is easily healing him back up. Both of the Paladins playing max range from each other here as they both do not have Trinket moving forward, but NG Blue definitely ahead with that ice block down for Gelu.
Yep, so NG Blue are ahead, but in a way, if the game goes on a long time, it might actually matter that Zunyaki's been emptying all this CC because his mana's a lot lower, so he's not going to have so many of those available in the future. We do see them setting up now the Hodge onto Villay. That's going to actually force the bubble from Miley. They need to get some cooldowns onto Raikou here. They should be able to get the first block, but another Master Spell comes out from Zunyaki, followed up by the Fear onto Poike. Are they going to be able to force it? A nice double Fear from Zunyaki.
Oh.
Again, he's just playing this so well. He's getting the amazing Fears. He's getting Master Spell pretty much every single CC chain. Now he's going to clean Gelu, and they're going to go for the offense on him. They want to get the second block. Full Sheep with the silence to cover. This should force it, and NG Blue are just taking over this game.
Yep, they're definitely very far ahead right now. Valet actually maybe getting swapped too. It looks like they're not going to commit too much damage just yet. This could just be the end of the match as Gelu goes into that full Horrify. His save by the Light Shield is getting cut right through, and Gelu will go down. Miley barely connects the heal in time to pick him back up. Now the Yacht Boys with that momentum need to swing back. Looks like they're going after Raikou. Minpoke preemptively sacrifices the Sphere. It does inevitably break, which will allow him to get a lot more healing out here onto Raikou, but it doesn't look like he's even able to really deal with it. Miley now caught into a full polymorph with no way out. Valet gets locked out on his Mass Dispel. Really well done. Gelu's still in a lot of trouble. He's got to start to run. He's down at 30%. Miley's barely hanging on to keep him alive. Connects one huge heal. What on earth was that? He's going to top Gelu off. Now they've got Minpoke locked down in a polymorph. Into another one. Can they get the full fear out of that? They desperately need to get a fear out of this frost drop from Valet. They get the full fear, but Gelu's still on the run. Down at 20%. Can Miley do it again? Gets a huge hit. What are these heals that Miley is dishing out? But he's caught now into a full polymorph. Valet goes for the Mass Dispel. Gets the Mass Dispel. And Miley should be able to save Gelu unless he just gets bursted out of nowhere. It's just spamming those flash of lights, trying to pick him back up. Zuniaki's doing so much damage right now. Full deep freeze on Miley. Raikou looking to chain that into the Frostjaw. Doesn't manage to get it. Looking for a polymorph instead, but I believe it's on DR, so he's not able to go for it. Gelu popping his Icy Veins, trying to bring the pressure over onto Raikou, but Gelu doesn't have any blocks left. Actually forcing Raikou into a block now. NG Blue might be overextending here to try and finish the game.
But they do land the triple fair. Unfortunately, it's not going to achieve too much. Now they get the sheep off it, so this could potentially be game. There's no breaks left. Gelu Baba will fall. Excellently played by NG Blue once again. And this was another fantastic game. It looked like the Yacht Boys were starting to come back into it, and we were even questioning whether NG Blue had maybe overstayed their welcome a little bit. But just as we start saying that, Zunyaki with another triple fear, and he just played so good this game. I mean, the synergy between NG Blue was perfect as well, because when they couldn't get the kick on Villay's Master Spell, Minpoke literally just crossed the map on his little paladin and kicked him with the rebuke. So they're using everything. They're rotating through their stops. They're rotating through their CCs very cleanly. Zunyaki even dispersed offensively a Nova towards the end of that game to make sure that Gelu Baba went down. So brilliant play on the side of NG Blue, and they've been looking so good in the Shadow Mirror. Further back, partly because of the amount of damage Raikou is putting out, and that just allows him to push in, get these big fears, and then also kite away and get the Master Spells.
You know, previously, statistically, the Yacht Boys in Cup #1, they 3-1 Northern Gaming Blue. In the previous series today, they 3-0'd Northern Gaming Blue. But now that they're playing Shatter, it seems like Northern Gaming Blue have the strategy nailed down. Their damage output is so high. Gelu launching a very early attack, but Zuni shuts it down with a silence. Valet will follow it up instead with a double fear. Gelu needs to get a polymorph out of this fear. It doesn't even look like he's going for it. He's just going for damage instead. Minpoke will easily answer that with his Avenging Wrath. Top Raikou off right away. Pre-sacrifices this, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to break. The shield does end, and it does break the polymorph. Full stun on Valet, dispelled immediately by Valet, so it doesn't look, or Miley, sorry, so it doesn't look like they're going to get too much. Gelu down to 20%. Miley should be able to connect big heals here as there is no more CC available. Raikou building up some icicles, now looking for some cheeky polys on Valet. Instant dispels from Miley. Gelu launching an attack, deep freeze on Minpoke. Doesn't follow it up though. Valet once again though will chain the deep freeze into the fear. It's interesting that they're opting to go for this. It seems like Gelu is just having a hard time. He's not able to find an even footing. He's getting out damage. He's not able to get the sheeps. Gelu needs to pull it together.
Yeah, Gelly's struggling a lot, and they're going to force the bubble out. Actually, Master Spell there by Zinyak, so another massive Master Spell. They get the Sheeps, they actually try to cover it with the Silence, but he was able to dispel it before. Well done by Minpoike. Uses the Aura Mastery regardless. I think he wants to try get offensive onto Gelu here. They have the Deep Freeze available now, or very shortly on Raikou, so they need to get this offensive go, but they're just killing with damage right now. Miley unable to out-heal it. They're going to force the Ice Block passively. Raikou outputting so much damage. He's just spamming those Frostbolts. Look at him. It's the entire game plan is damage on this side now. We do see the PhD setup coming out from the Yacht Boys. They get that, force the Ice Block onto Raikou, so very clean, but they're still behind on cooldowns, and I want to see NG Blue push for the kill. Gelu still with that Hyperthermia for about 10 seconds.
Yep, Gelu is still in quite a lot of trouble right now. They're going to commit their damage. They've got full CC onto Miley. Gelu is trying to hide behind this cart, but it's not going to be big enough. He blinks to the tomb. Can they keep the chain going? They sheep Miley on a string, and Gelu barely in time, able to get that Psychic Ice Block. Zuni Master Spells the Ice Block off. Do they have any more damage for Gelu? Doesn't look like they have enough to finish him off. Miley will be able to stabilize him. Now that the Yacht Boys have stabilized, they need to get aggressive. Gelu blinks in, goes for the Deep Freeze. They've got the Silence to cover the Polymorph, but they don't get it. Zuniaki silences the Poly instead, breaks up the chain. Valet is forced to follow it up with a Horrify instead. Do they have the fear out of that? Doesn't look like they have it. Minpoike will save Raikou very easily. Now Gelu is in a lot of trouble as Miley gets locked out on that flash shield. If they get any CC on Miley, Gelu could just go down. They get the full fear. Raikou gets the full sheep, and Gelu is completely alone. Valet needs to land the Master Spell. He does not land it. Minpoike actually interrupts him, and Gelu is getting completely annihilated right now. Down to 30% HP. Miley caught in the Deep Freeze, caught into another sheep. Valet Master Spells it in the nick of time. Will he have enough healing to get Gelu back into this match? Down to 30%. Miley just free casting in the nick of time. Valet pulls that off. Now trying to get some counter aggression onto Raikou, who has no blocks. They might just turn it around. Minpoike barely healing him back up, but he gets silenced up. I would like to see him bubbles right away, but even that might not be enough. Valet and Gelu are striking back very hard as both of the mages have no more ice blocks.
Yeah,
Paladins are falling behind, and it could be anyone's game now.
Yeah. Villi came up huge for the team there. That Master Spell is the only reason they're ahead. And now, Raikou, as you said, he used the offensive block now, but Gelu's in so much trouble with the full silence. There's no break still on the side of the Yacht Boys. Can they get the cross CC? Maybe they don't even need it. The Master Spell comes out, but it's not going to achieve anything. Gelu just falling to the raw damage coming out of NG Blue. I feel like they dominated damage, they dominated CC, they dominated this series, and NG Blue will go through to our grand final in 3-0. Just look at the damage from Raikou in this game.
It was
well, from both, to be honest.
Raikou doubled Gelu in every single game, basically. So it was a fair disadvantage for Miley to try and deal with that pressure. And it didn't seem like Gelu was getting really that much CC on Minpoike. Just Raikou was getting more polymorphs than Gelu. Raikou was getting more damage. Just overall, the output was higher. So I'm not sure if that was because the support wasn't there, but it seemed like Valet was doing a good job, and Miley was doing his best as well. But Gelu just couldn't get the sheeps, and unfortunately, that means that the Yacht Boys will lose 0-3. Despite beating Northern Gaming Blue earlier in the tournament, they opt to go for the Shatter, and they get completely destroyed. So Northern Gaming Blue will advance with confidence to the grand finals to fight against Toxic Youth.
Difficult to play your absolute best. So we can see locked into our grand final, Toxic Youth against NG Blue. They will be our first and second. There's a lot of money still on the line here. The $1,800 difference, I believe, between first and second, and of course a lot of pride. We haven't seen these two teams battle it out since Toxic Youth got this new roster, so NG Blue, who have dominated them in the past, we'll see if they can still do that with Blizzo.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how well Blizzo can play, because in the last match, they looked phenomenal. They just shut the Yacht Boys down. But I feel like Northern Gaming Blue, just overall, even Waz as opposed to Thasia, just does more damage. Northern Gaming Blue's deep